We are 15 minutes from the trade deadline. The Royals made a move earlier, getting two pitchers, and right before we went live, they made a trade for Bailey Falter from the Pittsburgh Pirates. There's a lot to talk about here. Things are going to be nuts. We're going to talk about the whole deadline, as things progress here. We'll be live for a little bit after as well. One Royal way. Here we go. We're back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're live here on YouTube, 4:45 Central, 15 minutes before the trade deadline. We're going to go up until 5 and a little bit after. Deals trickle in after 5 as well. Takes a little bit for the reporting and everything to get through, but probably about 5 until about 5:15 or so, maybe a little after, depending on how things go. Super interesting moves so far today. Right before we went live, like a minute before we hit record, the Royals made a trade for Pittsburgh Pirates starting pitcher Bailey Falter. He's 28 years old. He's still under contract through 2028, so you get 3.5 years here as a starter. Andy Rogers, Jeff Passan had it first. Andy Rogers is reporting that 2 players are going to Pittsburgh in this deal. I don't know exactly, what that return could look like. That's going to be kind of the interesting angle here to how they decide to handle that part of it. But I like the move, like the process of it. You get 3.5 years of a starting pitcher. There's not a lot flashy. Like when you go to the Baseball Savant page, it's a lot of blue. It's very chilly, if you will, except for the extension. He is elite at getting extension on his delivery, which then makes his fastball play up a lot better. So I think there's something to work with here. You have a guy that kind of throws, in the realm, not below hitting speed, but like in the low 90s. With interesting fastball metrics, a slider, split, curve, that he kind of works around. The predominant pitches are fastball, slider, sinker, curve with a split. He throws around 8%. It's really interesting. So his fastball comes in. It's 92 with 18 inches of induced vertical break with the lead extension, which then helps like the perceived velocity. So 92 kind of looks like 94, 95. There's a little Chris Bubich quality here. We know the turnaround that Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove have helped Chris Bubich make. So there it is. And this also now, the Royals have a lot of pitchers now. Like they have a wealth of big league ready arms. This now makes the conversation that we may have this offseason about Chris Bubich a little bit more interesting, that maybe Falter kind of goes into that spot as a lefty starter in the middle of the rotation. But I like this move. I want to see what the return is before I really think this is a slam dunk. Oh, more Royals news, or I guess baseball news here. Let's see. The Marlins are not trading Sandy Alcantara. So that, I do find that interesting. Curtis here, Passan. The Red Sox are acquiring Dustin May from the Dodgers. Okay. There's another interesting move there. The Padres are acquiring Nestor Cortez from the Brewers. The Padres are just throwing stuff around. This is crazy. Houston isn't done either from Mark Feinsand as of 5 minutes ago. The deadline's been, This is nuts. Everything that's going on here. Not just Royal specific either. Like this is across space. Okay, here it is. According to Alex Stumpf, who is the Pittsburgh Pirates beat reporter for MLB.com, it is going to be Evan Sisk and Callan Moss, who is a first baseman in high A. He's got around 70 RBIs, had a pretty solid year. That is the return for Bailey Falter, also known as no top 30 prospects going back, which is fascinating. And given the controllable years that you have from getting Bailey Falter for 3.5 seasons. I mean, I'm trying to keep up with all these notifications. This is just nuts. Just across the board, and we still got 10 minutes to go. Yeah, like it's fine. Like Evan Sisk, I think we saw like he's kind of viewed as a quad A type. Callum Moss was a guy that I liked last year. I think he was an undrafted free agent. Killed it a little bit in Columbia, and has had a decently solid year for Quad Cities. I'll get his numbers here just in case anyone cared. From like a small school in Florida, bounced around a little bit. But 270, 372, 418, 7 homers, 70 RBIs for Quad Cities this season. But he was kind of a non-prospect, kind of a guy on the fringes. So maybe there's an opportunity there for him. I mean, the notifications are just flying in here. The Yankees get Jose Caballero from the Rays. That is another like clubhouse move because the Rays and the Yankees just finished a game. And they also we'll talk about the Freddie Fermin trade on the other side of the deadline because I think there's going to be more time. The Royals have now, so they did trade Freddie Fermin. They got Ryan Bergert from the Padres and Steven Kolek, so from the San Diego Padres. And getting 2 more, again, controllable starting pitchers. Bergert is a rookie. Kolek is under team control through 2029. So you have, again, controllable years on these young starters, and I think that's fine in theory. But there's 2 ways of looking at this. One, they have not done enough for the offense. We also don't know what asking prices are for some of this. Like Jesus Sanchez, that price was fairly steep. It also could be a vote of confidence in what we've seen from the offense in the month of July, which has been better. Do I think it's enough to be competitive? I don't think so. I think the pitching is, John G, is this enough to get them to the playoffs? I think it's at least enough to keep them interesting. They need a depth of pitching right now with the injuries. Vinny has been playing well lately. Salvi's been good. Bobby has been good. Mikel's been great lately. Grichuk adds a different element. Adam Frazier, sneaky, has not been awful since coming back. I think what we're seeing is they're going to be able to pitch their way into October. It's just a matter of can they get enough runs. Like the Reds are acquiring Miguel Andujar from the Athletics. I mean, this is just. And I do have a friend that is not affiliated with anything, but has some sources saying the Royals are not done pending physical. Now I don't know what that means, but certainly, I mean, we are flying here. I think the ask price for Bats' deadline was way too high while the offense is still suspect. I take my chances with a slightly improved offense coming out of the break. I agree. That's kind of where I'm at with this. This is getting really interesting for Kansas, for everybody. I mean, I thought, hey, maybe between like 3:30 and 4:30, a lot of the deals will be done and we can talk about this and go, but nah, man, we're just going. Adrian Hauser to the Rays, Phil Maton to the Rangers. I'm sure that listening to this on the audio side is like just head spinning. It's like the witching hour in red zone is basically what's happening right now. The offense has to keep this July energy to make the playoffs. I agree, Supermo. Like that's what they're going to have to continue this type of stretch in order for them to have a chance. But I do think the pitching is going to be able to keep them in it. And you add some insurance with Falter, with Kolek, with Bergert. Bergert's still a little bit unproven, but there's some really there's some clay there that's fun to work with. And you see some of the, just like the metric on his fastball, and it excites me. I'm going to take a couple of minutes. I am going to talk about the Freddie Fermin trade that happened earlier this afternoon. John G, a week ago, did you see this coming? No, I didn't think the Royals were going to be buying a week ago. But trading for, extending Seth Lugo, new information changed my opinion, and here we are. I still felt like, and I talked about it on this show, I talked about it with Blake Terrence, I talked about it on the Zone with Jason Anderson, that even if I think they're going to buy, I think they are going to, I think Freddie Fermin is still an available guy that you can part with and still get something back. And they were able to do that. They were able to get two legitimate big league pitchers for a 30-year-old backup catcher, still with club control for a couple of seasons, but still, like that shows the value that the catcher position provides. And I love Freddie Fermin, big fan of what he brought as a, in the clubhouse, as a hitter. Obviously the barrier to entry for starting pitchers is not high, or for starting catchers is not high, or just the catcher position in general, mostly backups. But what he provided defensively as well, like he was a solid all-around player, and there's value in that. And there are teams that if you have a good backup catcher can view them as a starter. That's what Freddie Fermin's going to be for the Padres. Like Elias Diaz is not great at this point in his career. They're running out near 40-year-old Martin Maldonado. Luis Campusano is a bit of a bust as a prospect. Fermin is about as steady as it gets offensively, even if it's not super flashy, and he's good defensively. Like what we saw yesterday. His last game for the Kansas City Royals was a bullpen game where he helped manage 9 pitchers throw 10 shutout innings. That is an accomplishment in of itself, to know exactly the game plan for all of those guys, for all of those hitters, all of it. I mean, that's the kind of work that shows what Freddie Fermin can bring. Now, the Royals get what they need. They take a strength, like a position of strength, catching depth, and they add to a strength, which is their pitching. And I think that was a great process to do that. He's going to be their everyday catcher. And on the Royal side, from the catching perspective, Luke Maile has been very good, in a limited sample, but that's a steady veteran presence that you can throw out there twice a week and feel comfortable. He's going to hit his weight enough that it's going to be palatable. And it opens up the avenue for Carter Jensen either at the end of this season or, he could possibly break camp with Kansas City next year in 26 and be, catcher of the future. That avenue now opens up. It would be a little bit of a different conversation if they held on to Freddie Fermin, but it doesn't seem like they're going to do that. Ryan Bergert is a rookie, came up this year. It's a 2.78 ERA, 1.1 WHIP. I'm trying to get I have the wrong tab pulled up here. Please forgive me. So it's 34 strikeouts, 18 walks. Now, the thing about the 2.78 ERA is that it's a 4.24 FIP. So still, a guy that's learning a little bit. The arsenal, it's fastball, slider, sweeper, sinker, change. The fastball is very, very good. He spins it around, 2,400 RPMs with 18 inches of induced vertical break. All that means is that the ball holds its plane incredibly well. There's a pitch that he threw to Francisco Lindor. It was 95, almost down the middle, but at 2,400 RPMs and near 22 inches of induced vertical break. But that's almost an invisible. Like, you can't hit that. So you have that along with his slider, a sweeper, a sinker. Like, he can mix and match. To me, people say it's singer-ish. I think it's better because you have a four-seamer as opposed to a sinker. There's a little more swing and miss. There's a little more strikeout ability with a guy like that, where I think this is going to work. I like this one a lot. I like the Stephen Kolek move as well. It's not super flashy. It's a 4.18 ERA, not a big strikeout guy. He can sink it, he can cut it, he can slide it, sweeper, change. Like, he's gonna throw it all over the place. He's gonna kind of, it's gonna be a whole bunch of guy, all over the place, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's just, he kind of mixes and matches a little bit, not a ton of velocity, relatively speaking. He's like 90, 94, 92 to 94, 95. Kolick is a sinker. Okay, because I saw a sinker sweeper and like that was a predominant thing without a ton of changeup. He'll at least throw a changeup 8% of the time. Brady Singer doesn't even throw a changeup anymore. Camilo Doval to the Yankees. That is a very interesting trade, Curtis. They're really building up the back end of that bullpen, which also says they don't trust Luke Weaver and Devin Williams in October. Back to Stephen Kolick. If you kind of look at the Savant page, it's not real pretty. Fastball velocity, he doesn't get a ton of swing and miss, doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, but he keeps guys off the barrel and has a heavy ground ball rate. It's a 51% ground ball rate. So you get a guy that doesn't give up a lot of hard contact or like barreled up contact and a heavy ground ball rate. Like there's something to work with there. So maybe some Adam Ottavino-ish, type move. Maybe not a starter, but a reliever, kind of in that Schreiber mold, where it's heavy sinker, heavy slider, ground ball, that sort of thing. I could see that being his path. But getting two legitimate big league outs or bats right now is, pitchers. God, I'm seeing everyone talking about wanting a bat, and I understand it. The deadline has officially passed. It is 5:02. This is obviously been crazy. I have not seen anything come through. And now there's still moves that are going to be made and happen over the next 10 to 15 minutes. Charlie Morton to the Tigers, Griffin Jacks from the Twins to the Rays. So the Rays are really blowing it up. I haven't seen anything on Joe Ryan quite yet, but that's the next piece. And then maybe we'll see that there's a bat coming through here shortly. We are going to hit a break right now. Now that the deadline has passed, we'll come back, talk a little more about what they did, what they weren't able to do, and go from there. We'll be right back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to, and I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust, and I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible, and they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN, and that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
Folks, nothing beats hanging out with the boys on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And the simplest way that you all can get in on the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It is crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for two or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part is, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and then use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Sure to hit that like button and subscribe button. Thank you, everybody that's hanging out here in the chat. Made this a ton of fun as we got through this. As we got through this trade deadline and just the 15 minutes that we were there. I mean, so much happened. There was a trade right before from the Royals, right before the deadline. I mean, this has been fun. Didn't think Jensen would get called up this year, but it's possible now. I think it's possible, Brant, but I'm not going to bank on it. But I do think this opens up the avenue for when rosters expand. Because they expand from 25 to 28. It's not like 10 years ago where it expanded and you have the whole 40, here. It's not that. But expanding to 28, maybe they decide, hey, let's get him up here, let him learn a little bit, let him catch Bailey Falter and Cole Reagans and Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo, and let him get some time so that he can kind of take his lumps a little bit and get ready for next season, where we really do think he could be a difference maker. That path is there, but it also depends on where the Royals are at in the standings. If they fall out of it and they know they're not going to make the playoffs, then hey, give him all the time you got. But we'll see. I think they're going to be able to keep themselves in it. I'm trying to see if we got any more deals coming in here as of the. Whoa. Okay, Taj Bradley is going to the Minnesota Twins in that deal for Griffin Jacks. I did not expect that. Oh, of course, Ty France is going to Toronto. The Royals are going to play Toronto. Okay, well, I'm totally ready for Ty France to go 7 for 12 in a 3-game set. That's fun. And I think the Royals still have to play, and they still have to play at Kauffman Stadium later this year. God dog it. That is not what I wanted to see happen. Oh, man. Yeah, the Twins today, do we have control over Grichuk through 26? I believe let me check what kind of option it is. I want to say it's a mutual option. So I think it's an option year for 26, but I don't know what kind of option. So I want to make sure that I have the correct verbiage here. It's a mutual option for 2026 with a $3 million buyout. So maybe they keep him around. I'm not going to bank on it, but I do think if he gets hot and helps, Kansas City make the playoffs and has a decent stretch here, for the next 2 months, then maybe they bring him back. But I don't think it would be, and that necessarily wouldn't be a needle mover. The problem is that's a $5 million salary. That's fine for the most part. And with all the cost control pitching and pre-arb pitching that they were able to go and acquire today, maybe it makes your roster a little bit cheaper. That one today, I'm just looking at the Minnesota Twins have traded away at the deadline. Correa, Yohan Duran, Harrison Bader, Willie Castro, Griffin Jacks, Brock Stewart, and Louis Varland. And I'd imagine this offseason, Joe Ryan and maybe Buxton. Like, they are blowing it up. Still waiting to see if there's any more moves coming across. I'm not seeing anything right now. Yeah, so there's the Dustin May to the Red Sox. It's official. The Red Sox really didn't do anything. That's crazy to me. Sorry for the dead air here. I'm trying to see if I missed anything here. Bucks and hits IL and Twin said sell. Yeah, James Tibbs. Tibbs going back to the Dodgers. They just got Tibbs in the Devers trade. That's okay. I don't understand what Breslow and the Red Sox are doing. Yeah, this is weird. So it does not look like I haven't seen anything come through. The most recent trade was the Jacks Bradley deal, and that was as of 4 minutes ago. I have not seen anything else at this time. So I'm going to call it that the Royals are done, and they got three pitchers. They're not able to get a bat. The White Sox got Mead for Hauser. Wow. I still think this is a success for Kansas City, being able to get that much controllable starting pitching with the Lugo deal and the Waka deal. Like, I mean, that takes up about $37 million of your payroll. So to be able to keep, that down, it does help them for next season to be able to, try and do something in the offseason, either trade or free agency, really get an impact bat that we've been clamoring for. This team does need. But what I do think this also shows is, this team is banking on Bobby, Vinny, Michael, Salvi for, hey, can you be awesome for the next 2.5 months? And to be fair, the offense in July has been a heck of a lot better. It has. Now, we also are coming off a day where they needed one run. All they needed was one run, and they couldn't get it until the 10th inning. And they're also, the Royals are also banking on injured players to come back and produce. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with Reagan's. I think getting Falter, there's part of this as maybe Reagan's insurance that, hey, if he's not able to come back, we're not dead. And I see Ryan here, it's a C deadline because they didn't get a bat. It's an A. You're trying to say that it's an A for the Fermin trade and an F for the bat. You also got to think, I'm sure that the Royals were trying. It just depends on, hitter. Yeah, I understand that not getting a bat here is frustrating, but we also have to consider what were teams wanting for that bat? And would the Royals be able to part with it? If the Royals were in the Tigers spot, as in they're up in the division, it's almost a foregone conclusion they're going to win the division, then I do think they go and probably made a play for a bat in the realm of this being, hey, Blake, we'll give up Blake Mitchell, we're willing to part with whoever, and that's fine. But being where they're at now, I think that you have to be kind of cautious and be, careful about it. For some teams, the prospects matter a lot more, especially smaller market teams. Being able to use your prospects properly does matter. That's the hard. The hard part is, are you going to give up? I would move a Blake Mitchell. I would move, there's a lot of guys that he's just the one that comes to mind because he's kind of a top prospect that I think other teams would covet given his defense and power at the catching position. Yeah, and I think it's for the price. There's just not a lot out there. If you wanted Jarren Duran, just as an example, that was a bat that, people had considered to talk about. It would probably be, let me go look at the Royals top 30. You probably would have traded. Oh, we do have a move. Need everything to load here. The Royals have acquired Mike Yastrzemski from the New York Giants. There you go, Ryan. You get your bat. So there it is. So that comes in at 5:15. That's why we didn't shut the stream off, because this kind of stuff does happen. I know I called it 6 minutes ago and said there's no more moves. Here we go. Okay. So Mike Yastrzemski is a name that's been, talked about a lot. I remember him being talked about last year. This is a corner outfield bat that I do think improves this roster. So far this season, it is slashing 230, 330, 355 in 96 games, 8 home runs, 28 RBIs. Again, the 330 on base is significant for this team and what they need. He's 34 years old. He was kind of a late bloomer, didn't get to the big leagues until he was 28. Had a really good year in 2021 and has kind of tapered off since. But again, I don't think this is a super major move. This is a rental because he's a free agent after this season. It's not bad. But you also, when you think about the guys that the Royals have been running out there for most of this season from a hitting perspective, this is a heck of a lot better than a lot of other options. So you get an outfield of Yastrzemski, Isbell, Grichuk most days, at least right now. That's a lot better when they were running out in an outfield of MJ, Isbell, and Drew Waters, or anything of that, or Renfroe, like we had at the beginning of the year. That's pretty interesting. I like this move. It's kind of a low cost. But I do like this one quite a bit. My brain does not work when I'm trying to read Twitter and try and have a point at the same time. So Yaz, Jack, and Grichuk. And we don't now. Some of this is now. There is a conversation we had about what you do with Jack Caglione, because when it looked like the Royals were kind of dead in the water in July, or in June, I mean, then at that point it's okay, just give Jack all the at bats that you can. Don't worry about it, and we'll just see what you got better. Can you guys hear my son? I'm sorry, guys. I got two kids downstairs. My mic is picking it up. I apologize. I actually have headphones in for the first time, so I didn't notice. But now the conversation is, okay, Jack, he's got the hamstring. Do you still run him out there if you're really trying to run down a playoff spot? And I like Jack a lot. I think his future is super bright and the ceiling is crazy high. But if you are trying to make a legitimate run at the playoffs right now, then I don't know if you can run Jack out there most days, right? I don't know. I want to see if he can get it together, but I also am not sure. Ryan in the chat here, Yaz has a 366 on base against righties. I don't think it's necessarily I don't think it's necessarily straight platoon either. I think he's going to play quite a bit. Let me check his splits while I'm thinking about it here. I think they'll still give Jack at bats. I don't think they're just going to send him to AAA and just let him figure it out. But I just don't think you can run him out there every day right now. But then again, is that good for his development either? Being a guy that goes out there, 3 days a week, is that good for his development? I don't think so. Well, that's game logs, not splits. Okay, so the splits for Yaz is pretty significant here. Slash 254, 366, 393 against righties. Against lefties, it's 145, 181, 217. So this may be a Randall Grichuk, Mike Yastrzemski platoon in right for the foreseeable future. And if that's what you end up getting, a heavy platoon where you get a dude that mashes right-handed, that can hit right-handed pitching pretty well, and Grichuk, who destroys left-handed pitching, that's a really good process. And you can still, have John Rave go out there, who I don't think John Rave is great, but he's better than most alternatives. It makes your offense a heck of a lot better. And the ability to take a walk, the ability to work counts. Grichuk has that ability. India has that ability. It changes some of the complexion of your offense. And we'll see what this does. But I do think this move is very, very interesting. Has anyone, if anyone is looking, has anyone seen the return for Mike Yastrzemski yet? Has anyone seen that come through? I'm scrolling through and I have not seen this. Have Grichuk or Yaz played any left field? I am not sure of. Let me see. Yeah, well, 2023 or 2024, Pham and Grossman. Yeah, Grichuk and Yaz is a much better alternative than those two guys. But that was also out of pure desperation because Vinny had gotten hurt and they just had to kind of spray the board as much as they could, trying to get what they can to fix the offense. Let's see. Sorry, it's taking me a little longer than I was hoping. So Grichuk has played 14 innings in left, played it predominantly in 2023, a little bit in 24. So he has. So you could theoretically run a Grichuk, Isbell, Yaz outfield, and your defense may not be as great in the corners, but your offense, the offensive ceiling is a heck of a lot higher. Let me see what Yastrzemski is. I feel like just from when I've watched Giants games and from when I pay attention to the Giants, that he has played very little left field. He hasn't played left field since 2023, been exclusively in right since then. Check some of the Savant stuff just for some batted ball data as I'm now looking at this. Very much in line with a lot of Royals hitters. It's not a lot of chase, not a lot of swing and miss. Strikeout rate's 23%, but that's fine because he walks 13%. He has a good arm. The range is not great. So that does concern me a little bit, but it's also a weird right field. What is it? Not AT&T, Oracle Park, I think is what it's called now. So maybe playing a Kaufman, he's able to kind of figure it out. A lot of pull side. I mean, that's kind of his game. The expected batting average and some of the underlying stuff there is not great, but if he can work a walk, it helps the offensive ceiling quite a bit. Yeah, and the wind blows in from right. That is true. So maybe some of those numbers and playing in hot, humid Kansas City, for the next couple of months, maybe that that helps make a bit of difference here. Trying to see if we're going to get any return here. Yes, Supermo. That is a great point. That not only did Kansas City get better for now, but you have Bailey Falter through 2028. You have Stephen Kohler through 2029, and you have Ryan Berger through 2030. And that's what I wanted to see them do at the deadline. Can they find a way to maybe get some rentals, get better for now, but also be better for the future, not mortgage the future? This is not the offseason to do that. This is not the deadline to do that like it was in 2015 when it was. Now we go. We need to go get Johnny Cueto and Ben Zobrist, and we're going to give up, Brandon Finnegan and Sean Manaea and, do all this stuff. I do not think this was that scenario, but this is where it gets very interesting for Kansas City. You are, at this point, you are 3.5 back in the wildcard spot. I have so many tabs. I have an absurd amount of tabs open right now. Please give me a moment because I feel like I was going to click around to the wrong thing. I do think that this does make me believe I think they can. And now, so at this point, your job now, if you're Kansas City, is run down Seattle and Texas. because that's who you're going to be competing with. You're competing with Cleveland is a half game up on you, but they made some moves and kind of showed like, yeah, they're kind of punting on this season. Class A suspended, like it's kind of weird there. They didn't trade Quan, but I didn't think that they were going to do much. The Rays bowed out, over the last couple of days. The Twins really bowed out. The Angels bought, but we also have seen them do that in the past when they're half in, half out, and they end up putting guys on waivers 3 weeks later. Yes, there's one series left at home against the Rangers. I believe it's mid-August. So that, that's going to be probably one of the biggest series of the year. You play Seattle. I believe that one's in August as well. Let's look at the upcoming schedule to see, who they're, going up against here for a little bit. It is the second easiest schedule going forward, if, that's something that you care about. I didn't want to buy tickets. Why did it redirect me from? Okay, there we go. All right, we are going to be in August now. So you got a 10-game road trip coming up here. 6 of those games against playoff teams with the Blue Jays and at Fenway and at Boston. And Boston really didn't do a lot at the deadline, which I wonder, kind of how that feels from a demoralization. And then you get the Twins who just punted. So I know playing at Target Field is not necessarily the best place on the planet because we just struggle there for some reason. But you got to wonder, okay, they're probably going to punt. And then you have then you have a 10-game homestand coming back. The Nationals are coming to town. Nationals are not good. They gave up players. The White Sox are bad. They traded players. And then you get 4 against the Rangers, 18 through 21 in August there. That's probably the biggest series of the season to that point. Then you're at Tigers, at White Sox, and Tigers to end August. September, you got the Angels and the Twins to begin September. That's a pretty comfy start. At Cleveland, then you're at Philly. That's going to be a tough series. And then you got the Mariners and the Blue Jays at home there in mid-September. And that one is going to be interesting just from the perspective of, like, those are 2 playoff teams. How are they playing at that point? How are the Royals playing at that point? And then you end the season at the Angels and at the A's. All this to say, it's all in front of Kansas City right now. You go and make these moves. They showed this clubhouse. We're going to try and win this thing now. Bobby said it last year. We didn't come this far just to come this far. And we'll see what they end up doing. Like I mentioned the other day, they could buy. It may be a fool's errand. He may not do anything. But this is a commitment from the organization to show that we're not just going to lie down, roll over, and just accept the small market fate of, oh, well, we tried and we'll try again in a couple of years. Like, screw that. Let's go do it now. We have the guys. We have the controllable core. We have our superstar. Let's get around this thing and find a way into the playoffs. I think it's there. I think it's there for the taking. It's certainly a possibility. I would not put money on it. I am not going to sit here and say, yes, they're going to make the playoffs, but they're putting themselves in position to do so. It's going to be a fun next couple of months. And if you told me a week ago the Royals would be buying, I would have called you a liar. But they bought for this year and for the future. I thought JJ handled this incredibly well, making 3 trades today. We'll see what ends up happening when they get to Toronto tomorrow and play this series and play their butt off. See what you got, man. It gets pretty fun now. So I'll have some water here because I didn't feel like drinking at 5, even though, hey, 5 o'clock somewhere, yada, yada. Toast game brought to you by Holiday Distillery with water. To JJ Piccolo for making this team better for now and for the future. Heck of a job. I mean, I thought he handled this incredibly well. Front office deserves a lot of credit here. So welcome to Kansas City, Ryan Berger, Stephen Kolek, Mike Yastrzemski, and Bailey Falter. Now, the roster moves on the other side of this are going to be real interesting. I have not seen any reports of the return for Mike Yastrzemski. Let me see if I'm not seeing anything. Have you guys seen anything here? I have not seen it. I'll tweet it out once it comes through. I can't imagine it's crazy. Ben, I gave some a little bit ago. So this year, slashing, it's like 231, 330, 355. Not a ton of power, but he's going to but he's not going to strike out a lot. He's not going to swing and miss a lot, and he's going to walk. And that is an offensive improvement for the most part. Still not seeing anything. I'd imagine that means MJ, this means, at least from the position player perspective, MJ is going to go back down to Omaha. That'd be my guess. I think Rave has shown enough that he can handle being up here. One of these moves that's going to open up is since Bubic is done for the year, they're going to move him to the 60-day. That probably opens up the spot for Falter. I think Ryan said Hatch DFA. I could see. That was just mostly for depth anyways. And at that point, you're going to that'll get you one of the spots for Kolek or Bergert. I'd imagine Bergert and then Kolek. Oh, maybe just Bolin. Maybe they ship Bolin to buy 29 again. And that, opens it up for him. But we'll see. And they're going to make it all work over the next couple of days. They left a spot open in the rotation, saying Noah Cameron could start, but they were going to, kind of work around and see what was available. So maybe that spot goes to Berger. We'll see. We're going to learn a lot. The team is probably en route or pretty close to it to, headed to Toronto here pretty soon. But we'll see what all comes out of this. But it's fascinating what this team did and how they were able to handle it. Kolek starts this weekend. We'll see. I'd imagine that's going to be reported here, pretty soon. I keep clicking on the same Mark Feinsand notification, trying to figure out who the heck. Okay, anyone that wanted to know, like Correa going back to Houston was easily the biggest move of the day, which I didn't think it was going to be when Mason Miller got moved to the Padres for Leo DeVries, which is just nuts. Like AJ Preller doesn't give a shit about prospects, that's for sure. But Minnesota's covering $33 million of the remaining $104 million owed to Carlos Correa. Best lineup, I think our guy Carmody had this a minute ago in this chat. God dog it, where is it? There's a comment in here. India, Bobby, Vinny, Michael, Salvi, Yaz, Grichuk, Cags, Isbell. I do think that might be your best lineup, at least for now. And at that point, Frazier's on your bench, Tolbert's on your bench for speed, Rave, Maley, Jordan Montgomery and Shelby Miller to the Brewers at the buzzer too. Wow. Okay. And I think Montgomery's out for the year anyways because of This is from Chance Lebo over at ESPN Wichita. The Royals have acquired Adam Frazier, Randall Grichuk, Stephen Kolek, Ryan Berger, Bailey Falter, Mike Yastrzemski, and haven't given up a top 30 prospect to do it. Now, pending the Yaz deal, but I don't think that's going to be a top 30. If it is, it'll be like a fringy top 30. But I don't think that even matters at this point. I think this is just an unbelievable job by JJ. Credit to him. I love this. This is great. We'll see. We have Junior Marte. Okay, Junior Marte, I believe he's in low A. I'm trying to look this up here. Because the name sounds familiar. Yeah, he's a 21-year-old in low A. Pitching well, I will say, pitching well. 2.74 ERA, but I don't even think he's in the Royals top 30. Let me confirm that based on pipeline. But like that, I'll give up a low A pitcher for a win now type player, 100%. Especially a guy that's not David Shields, you know. Okay, Junior Marte is the 20th ranked prospect in the Royal system, so that completely contradicts the thing that I just said. Does Canna get DFA'd once he's off the injured list? I think that might be the move. Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't considered that because that would open up a 40-man spot. Okay, yeah, Junior Marte like that. That's fine, but you still got Kendrick Churio, you got David Shields, you got Kyle DeGroat. They're in that low A rotation. You're thinking of a different Junior Marte, Nate. This is the younger version of a Junior Marte. There was one that was with the Royals for a little bit that was a reliever, pitched for Philly for a little bit. This is a very different pitcher. But yeah, he's like 21 years old. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, so again, you require all of those guys, and you only give up one top 30 prospect, and that guy's 20th in your system. That's a hell of a deadline to be able to hold on to prospects. And now sometimes you can border on hoarding prospects, but I don't think the Royals were in a position to trade a David Shields, a Kendrick Churio, a Blake Mitchell, a Ramon Ramirez at this point. I don't think they're in that sort of position. So this, changes a little bit. There we go. Ryan came around. A- deadline. I agree. I'll call this an A-. I like it a lot. This is pretty great. Now we're going to see what they have. Done a lot of rambling over the last 10 minutes as we got the 2-month sprint to the playoffs, 3.5 back. Let's see what this does. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. This was a lot of fun. One of the most fun shows I've ever gotten to do. That's for sure. And thank you guys for being a part of it, letting me know about trades that are going on, returns, all that. I appreciate all of that. So if you're on the audio side and you are not necessarily a YouTube listener, take it from those that have been in the chat here, feeding me information and being a part of the conversation. We have fun over here. So Sunday, we will be back to discuss the Blue Jays series, recap that, and we'll see where the Royals are after that. Yes, Supermo Churio starts in 20 minutes in Colombia. I will be watching that as well, so I'm going to have that on the main TV. My wife is going to be confused why I'm watching low A baseball, but you know what? That's just what I do. Appreciate y'all. Talk to you Sunday night, 8:30 Central here on YouTube. Have a great one.